It negotiates. Each time, Honorius refuses. Then on August 24th, 410, somebody opens the gates. We don't know who. Maybe a slave? Sympathizer? Maybe someone desperate enough to end the siege. Alaric enters the city. For 3 days, Rome is sacked. Now, historically, the sack itself is not the literal end of the empire, but psychologically, it changes everything. For 8 centuries, Rome had represented invincibility, eternal power, the center of the civilization itself. Now the city is stripped, humiliated, and violated by an army that Rome itself once employed. And the man most capable of preventing it has already been executed by his own government. And that's why this story matters beyond Rome, because the pattern keeps repeating, even if the chickens disappear. The system encounters crisis and begins recruiting talented outsiders from the margins. People that are valued for competence rather than pedigree. The outsiders perform well, and they solve the problem the establishment can't solve. They actually build authority from results. And initially the establishment tolerates them, because it doesn't have an alternative. But tolerance, it's not acceptance. The moment the crisis appears manageable again, the calculation changes. Now those outsiders, well, they look dangerous. What if they become too popular or indispensable? What if their loyalty is to the mission rather than the institution itself? And Rome knew it was. And slowly the machine turns against them. There's whispers and accusations, questions about their loyalty. Not because they failed, but it's because they succeeded. And actually, that's usually the most dangerous point in any institutional crisis. Not the crisis itself, but the moment afterward, when the old order attempts to reassert control over the people who navigated the emergency. Stilicho is officially executed for being half-Vandal, but the real crime, it's competence. He's too effective and independent, and too difficult for the system to fully control. And because the system can't absorb him, it destroys him. Then in destroying him, it destroys itself. So when you look at Rome's 3 major fault lines, the parallels become uncomfortable. First, there's money, and we're living through the largest monetary experiment in history. Debt levels would have seemed impossible a generation ago, because central banks are constantly expanding liquidity just to keep the system functioning. Purchasing power is eroding gradually, rather than through clipped coins. It's a different mechanism on the surface, but it has the same underlying dynamic. As for those porous borders, Rome couldn't decide whether migrants represented a threat or a resource. The empire needed labor and military manpower, while simultaneously fearing cultural transformation and political instability. That contradiction never gets resolved. And honestly, the same debates exist now almost word for word. Then there's the power, or lack thereof. The late Roman Empire wasn't authoritarian in the simplistic way that people imagine. It was procedural. It had councils, laws, administrative structures, and formal decision-making systems. But eventually the procedures become hollow. Real authority belongs to whoever controls access, information, and the narrative inside the bureaucracy itself. The system's primary purpose shifts from functioning effectively to preserving itself. And Rome tells itself all the way through the decline that its institutions are permanent, stronger than anyone realizes, too advanced to truly collapse, maybe too big to fail. For centuries they believe it. Then eventually the structure reaches a point where it can no longer distinguish between a threat and a solution. And that's the real tragedy of Stilicho. Not simply that he dies, but his death was completely preventable. His body receives no great honors afterward. His monuments are torn down. His memory is officially erased from the system he spent his life defending, but history remembers him differently. The man condemned for not being Roman enough turns out to embody Rome more than the people who executed him. Some even call him the last Roman. He fought for the empire. He held the line for years. And then when the system came for him, he didn't burn it down, even though he probably could have. He walked out of the church and accepted his fate because he still believed in something larger than himself. And at that point, the system no longer did. Rome doesn't fall because it's suddenly overwhelmed from outside forces. Rome falls because internally it lost the ability to distinguish between competence and danger, between loyalty and threat, between the man holding the structure together and the forces actively pulling it apart. This is the pattern. Same mechanism, different century. This has been the Roman Pattern. I'm Jeremy Ryan Slate. Be sure to like this video, leave us a comment, and smash the subscribe button if you want more.